letters in that came off the web. And we're going to have a copy of the official document. So this is what we have now. I'll ask you, Kenneth, does that appear to be a copy of the agenda of the City Commission meeting of May 15th,
Yes, sir.
2006? And in fact, on that agenda, does there appear a consent agenda matter having to do with the report of the Canvassing Committee of the Canvassing Board of April the 11th, 2006? And do you have a personal recollection that that matter was brought before the Commission and the Commission approved those?
As a consent agenda item, I recall that was on the consent agenda as approval of the amendment.
And the Commission approved it?
Yes, sir.
And you had no dispute with May 15th, whatever the date was, it was.
That is
in your official committee.
Yes.
Okay. Tara Henderson told us yesterday that she served as a precinct worker in Turkey Creek. Did you know that?
I wasn't specifically aware of that.
Now, was there any minutes made about canvassing of unused ballots or discussion about unused ballots in the canvassing board meeting of April the 11th?
Not that I recall.
Do you know how many ballots the city started with in the April 11th election?
Yes, sir.
And do you know how many ballots the city used, including spoiled ballots and absentee ballots?
Yes, sir.
And do you know how many ballots were destroyed after the election?
Yes, sir.
And we've talked about consent agenda. What does adoption by consent mean?
That if it is on the consent agenda, that according to the city's rules and procedures, that when the agenda is approved, those items that are on the consent agenda are approved at the same time with the same motion.
And there's no public discussion of those items.
Unless they are pulled off the consent agenda and placed as a regular item.
And who decides what's placed on the consent agenda?
A combination of routinely minutes are placed on the consent agenda, and then there are housekeeping items that generally are placed on the consent agenda.
Or placed by whom?
The city staff under the city manager.
So the city manager makes the decision as to what goes on?
I believe the rules and procedures outline that, and certainly if any of the commissioners would like something pulled from the consent agenda or any member of the public, there's a process in which you can have that accomplished.
Does the mayor have no role in setting the agenda?
Very little.
So, in fact, the person that makes the decision for placing a matter on the consent agenda is effectively making the decision for the city.
I would not agree with that statement.
And why wouldn't you?
Because we all have the ability to have those items taken off the consent agenda, so we have the ability to make that decision on our own.
And the commission also has the ability to assure that there's no public discussion by somebody not requesting that anything be taken off.
I would not agree with that statement.
Okay. And why not?
I think it's an erroneous statement.
Well, why is it erroneous?
Because the public and the commissioners all have a process in which they can have public discussion.
Isn't one of the purposes in putting a matter on the consent agenda to avoid having public discussion on the matter?
I would disagree with that too.
How can a matter be removed from the consent agenda and open for discussion by the public, by the commission, at the right time by the public?
I can tell you what has happened in the past. We have gotten either a commissioner will publicly at the beginning of the meeting say, I want to remove it from the consent agenda. Members of the public have requested in writing prior to the meeting starting a request that something be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the, so I can speak to what's happened in the past.
And in fact, there have been requests to remove the item of the Canvassing Board's report from the consent agenda on May 15th.
I don't recall that happening prior to the meeting.
You don't?
No, I don't recall that.
In fact, there was an attempt by a member of the public to have the matter removed from the consent agenda. At that meeting, was it not?
I'd have to take a look and see if that was one of the meetings where at the beginning of the meeting there was a disruption and a matter of the citizen not following the procedures that's called for in our procedures manual.
You refer to any attempt of a citizen to inquire of the commission at the disruption?
Yes, sir, I do.
What makes it a disruption?
Well, there is a proper time according to our procedures and our agenda when it's appropriate according to the way our agenda is laid out, when it's appropriate and when it's inappropriate.
Your agenda or your rules and procedures don't permit a citizen who's come to the commission meeting to make a request that a matter be removed from the consent agenda and be opened up for discussion at the later part of the meeting.
Once the meeting has already been called to order, then the way procedurally we conduct the meeting, we move right into the approval of the agenda.
So the public has no chance?
They could, during citizen comment, we have that at the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting. If a citizen brought up an item under their 3-minute comment and requested further discussion, the commission at that time should take it into consideration.
This would be after the consent agenda item had already been approved?
Yes, sir.
And you don't remember that you had received any request prior to the meeting on May 15th to remove that item from the consent agenda?
Not that I recall.
And if you received those requests and didn't take it off of the consent agenda, then you failed to follow the city's rules and procedures, didn't you?
Well, I'd have to know the specifics of the particular situation that you're talking about.
Why does the specifics matter?
Well, because the timing and the manner in which it may have been requested, you'd have to have the specific information.
Isn't it true, Mayor Calderwood, that you would pick and choose on the basis of whether or not you supported what the person wanted or didn't?
Yes, sir.
It is true that the city